Hello and welcome to yet another episode of the program, The Patriot. Today we're discussing a very important and dicey topic. I like it dicey, I like it controversial, but you'll be the judge of that as I tell you a little bit about what we're going to discuss today. Now, falling in love for each other is an aesthetic feeling, but what matters is staying in it. Marriage is a very sensitive and pleasurable institution. When grown, it contributes a lot in the growth and development of a nation. Our focus of discussion today is marriage, the prospects and its challenges experience. Now, I have a guest in the studio who is poised. If you listen to his profile, you know that we just got the right man for the right job. But how does patriotism relate to marriage? Some persons will think, you're thinking patriotism is all about politics, loyalty and all of those. Now we're here to take you to the very bottom and get to the very middle of it. Where do they marry? Where do they meet? Now, Emmanuel Azaya is a transformational leader, a business professional, and a pastor with over 20 years combined experience in executive administration and corporate entrepreneurship training and pastoral ministry, and also a relationship coach. He studied business admin and has several certifications in Christian theology, leadership, monitoring and evaluation, and human resource management. He's a highly sought after marriage relationship coach. He's the director general of the Transformers Marriage Institute and currently lectures in 3 marriage institutes. Can you beat that? Now that's not profiling him, that's just to put your mind at rest and say, what does this one wants to say? Just wait till you're here. Welcome to the show, sir.
Thank you.
Did I do justice to your profile?
Thank you, I appreciate it.
Did I do justice?
Yes, you did.
You sure?
Very well. Very well.
I did some editing.
Of course,
just
yes, I know.
to couch it to suit what we were talking
Yeah,
about.
it's okay.
Now, when you heard we were going to discuss marriage and patriotism, what came to mind?
A lot of questions went through my mind. I want to be sure of what exactly you intend to communicate to the audience.
Okay.
I asked myself 2 questions. One, are you trying to find out where the dysfunction or the results we're getting in society began from? That's the first question.
That's one.
The second question that came to my mind is patriotism and marriage. Are we looking for solutions to the dysfunctions we see in the society? Why are people no longer as patriotic to the society, to the community or to the society or to the country as it used to be? Or you trying to find a solution? So a lot of things, those 2 questions begin to bog my mind.
Okay, let's switch seats. Since you're asking the questions now,
Okay.
let me sit on this side so you're
Okay.
I don't think I am not poised for that. Your
Thank you.
profile just fits it. Now, marriage patriotism.
Yeah.
We were talking earlier, and you took me back to where the word patriots, who a patriot is.
Yeah.
And let's hear you.
Okay, a patriot itself as a concept,
Yes.
it's a word that originates from the Greek. And the Greek word for patriot is pater. And pater means father. So when you're talking about patriot, you're talking about a father. And what does a father represent? It represents a source, a support, someone who cares, someone who is concerned about his neighborhood, someone who is right there to protect his territory, someone who is there to care for his environment, someone who is there to support the system that he has put in place for his family. So we're talking about patriotism, we're talking about the qualities and the character of a patriot. In the Greek tradition, the father is seen as someone who owns the territory, and he must do everything possible to protect that territory.
Okay.
He serves the territory. He ensures that the well-being of the territory is preserved.
Now, some females will not be happy with this.
Okay, fine. I agree with that. I agree with that.
So are you saying patriotism is meant for men?
No. You see, why I use the word father? Understanding the concept is very important. The father is the source. It is when the father came into existence, or the man made a decision to want to be a head of a home, that he brings the woman into his space. And when the woman comes into his space, before they have a child, whether male or female.
Okay.
So when I'm talking about the father here, I'm talking about the source where all things can
emanates. Okay.
Yes.
So now let's delve into marriage.
Yes.
We have did our best, done our best to explain what patriotism, the origination, and we'll get to how it links.
Yeah.
Now, marriage, family, one and same term.
No. You have a marriage first. Marriage has a life of its own. It is when marriage is instituted that you now need to have other institutions that come from marriage.
Tell us about it.
Okay, marriage itself is the union of a man and a woman coming together in a relationship.
Okay.
It is the coming together of that man and a woman that give birth to a family. You understand?
Okay.
And from marriage, we have basically five institutions that come from marriage. The first institution is that of the family institution.
Okay.
Now we have the family institution, then we now have the religious institution, because there's hardly any man that does not have a religion. Even the atheists believe there's something somewhere. If he doesn't believe in the Almighty God, he believes in himself. That's religion.
There's a belief somewhere.
There's a belief somewhere.
Okay.
All right. So we now have the religious institution. In this context, in Nigerian context, we talk about the Christian or the Muslim or the pagan. The religious institution. Then from the religious institution, we now have the school, the educational system, the school institution. From the school institution, we now have the marketplace. It is then from there, we also now have the government. All of these five institutions all came into existence because it's marriage in the first place. That's why it said that marriage is the cradle upon which society.
It's the bedrock.
It's the bedrock.
And the decider of this bedrock is the man.
It's the man.
It's the man who decides to go bring someone into his space and have an individual who becomes a patriot.
Yeah.
Good. So where is the nexus? Where is the synergy? Where do they marry?
Yeah, patriotism and marriage meets at the place where you have the family, the man and the woman, in their coming together, deciding to transmit the right culture, transmit the right value that makes for this healthy society. Because I'm talking about patriotism, I'm talking about being loyal to your country, being loyal to the institutions that have been set up already, being loyal to the government, as it were.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's dissect again. Let's talk about where they converge.
Yeah.
Let's take them apart.
Okay.
Now, in marriage, how does this institution, be it dysfunctional or functioning well, how does it bring about a patriot? Now, in your analysis of the five institutions that emanates from marriage, government seems to be the last. It seems to be the last institution that interfaces with the individual.
Yeah.
It means that government has little or nothing to decide whether an individual becomes a patriot.
Yes.
It means the marriage is the first thing. So if there's a dysfunction there, it means it trickles down to that individual. When he finally forms a government, it's either a dysfunctional government or a functioning government. Yeah. So tell me about how marriage should function and the forms of marriage.
Okay, fine. Marriage itself, I'm a strong proponent of the belief that you have either a healthy or an unhealthy marriage.
Okay.
I don't believe there are bad marriages. They are
healthy marriage and unhealthy
marriage.
That's a soft way to look at it.
It's a healthy or unhealthy marriage. Because marriage itself is, research has shown that marriage is 85% attitude, 15% knowledge. If you have the right 15% knowledge, it will influence 85% attitude that you exhibit in
Just
marriage.
50%?
Yes, 15%. If you have the wrong 15% knowledge, your perception, your understanding, and what shapes your knowledge are basically your experience, your education, your encounters, and your education, your experience, your encounters. This shapes, and your background, of course, shapes your marriage, shapes your knowledge.
Okay.
So if they are dysfunctional, or the knowledge you have about marriage is dysfunctional, it will influence.
Let's pick them one after the other.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, let me explain that.
Yes.
Okay, your education. If you have a belief that marriage is not the bed of roses, it's a belief, it's a knowledge, as a program that you run your life by. If you believe that marriage is not a do or die affair, it's an education you've gotten about marriage. When you get into marriage, you always have an option to want to pull out, because you don't want to stay when there are crises, because every marriage has crises. Because you believe your education teaches you that marriage is not a do or die affair. So once it's trouble, once there is a miscommunication, once there is a misunderstanding, the next option is divorce or separation. Because for you, marriage is not a do or die affair. You understand? Now, if your background, your exposure, talk about your exposure now. Your exposure is such that the model of marriage you were exposed to in your past is such that it's characterized with violence, with betrayal. It's characterized with conflict, it's conflict reading, and you don't have the right conflict resolution skills, right conflict prevention skills. You don't have them. When you come into marriage, of course, that model you see is what you're going to replicate in your own marriage. Because we are always, as an individual, we all run on programs.
We run on programs.
We run on programs.
We have internal chiefs.
We have internal chiefs in us that is running that runs on program. I was counseling a couple recently, and I asked the question, "What is love for you?" And I said, "Love is the feeling that I have towards my partner." I said, "Have you ever questioned that?" When we begin to narrow down, this is not subject of discussion today, but when we begin to narrow down, we found out that they just pick up a phrase, they just pick up certain comments that were made, and that became the program they are running their life with. In the same vein, a lot of people are married today because someone made a statement somewhere and they believe it that is true from that person's experience, and that become the program they run their lives by. When we go to school and go study the course, what our lecturers are basically doing, they are running our lives on programs.
So we don't stop and question.
Sometimes most times we don't stop to question. We don't stop to question some things we believe. And so those experience we carry from our family, from the society, we bring them into the family.
You don't mind running your own experience right now?
Oh, okay, fine.
Yes,
I wouldn't mind. I wouldn't mind. Okay.
Let's have practical
Let
examples.
me show you a practical example I had. Discipline, for instance. A program was installed into me the way my father disciplined me. My father, I come from an authoritarian family background. My father will want to discipline me, for instance. He will take me into the room, lock the door, put the key in his pocket, then sit me down to ask me questions. What and how have what he asked me to do, how I did not do it right, or what I did wrong that will determine the punishment he's going to give to me. Maybe he will flog me or maybe pick me or something. Then by the time he brings that place of acknowledgement of my guilt, my father will go to the back of his wardrobe. Of course, I had one of my uncles that used to come and supply me with cane from the village in those days. He will go to the back of his wardrobe, bring out the cane and start flogging me. I know I've done wrong, yes, but it's going to be too. You'll just have me, a 7, 10-year-old boy, locked in a room with a 40, 45-year-old man, boxed in a cage. I rush to the door, I can't get out. My mom knocked from the other side, nobody can help me until he's satisfied he has corrected me. Then he opens the door, I come out so helpless. And growing up, I felt that is wickedness. That is not right. That is wickedness. That's not good. But that's the model he was used to. And I hated that form of discipline, that form of correction. So when I had my son, my first son, Mark Davis, I began to study. And I said I was never going to train my son that way. And I was going to discipline my son that way. But failing to realize that I had an experience I have not questioned. So I was doing a lot of studies and all that. So one day, when my son was 5-year-old, though before then I used a lot of withdrawal, other technique of correction and discipline. But when my son was 5-year-old, I had already established a culture in my family that I don't make promises I can't keep with my children. So I told my son, I gave him a book to read, and I said, when I come back, if you don't read, I'm going to flog you. That word came out, so I must keep to that promise. So I went out at about 5 p.m. I was driving back home when my security gate, my man opened the gate, and I was driving, and I saw my son rush into the room, and I saw him rush into the room because he was outside. He carried his book and was just trying to read. Apparently, he's been playing all through. He's not heard his father say, going to flog him. He's never experienced that before. But this is what I'm talking about, experience. By the time I got inside, I said, Isaiah, you're going to flog this boy. You promised him today. You're going to flog him, keep to your promise. So I called my son into my bedroom. We sat down. We had a conversation. And by the time I brought him to a place of guilt, I left him in the bedroom. Apparently, unlike my father, I didn't have cane stored up in the back of my wardrobe. So I went to the flower bed, caught the cane, came into the bedroom. Unconsciously now, I locked the door, put the key in my pocket, and started flogging my son. It was when I flogged him once and he started screaming. Flogging the second time, he rushed to the door. My wife now began to knock on the door, and I realized that the model I was used to, the program I was used to, played out. Unconsciously. I didn't know. It was when my wife knocked on the door, it now dawned on me that the key to my room was in my pocket. Now, at that time, I was already 42 years old. My son is just 5 years. So our background, our experience shape the way we respond in marriage. Of course, your encounters, some things you have picked up from school, from movies and all of that, shape your experience in marriage. So like I said, it's important to realize that all of these put together influence how we respond and react to one another in marriage.
All right, let us now talk about the various forms of marriage. Now, marriage, we'll be mentioning marriage. From your father's time to your time, has marriage been the same?
Yeah, marriage is changing by the day.
Okay.
Yes, because of civilization.
Now, the marriage you see your son having, is it going to be the same? Not in the context of course, one man, one wife, one man, two wife, mixed marriage. There are various forms now.
Yeah.
Do you acknowledge that there is a shift?
There is a shift.
Do you accept the shift?
I have no choice, but I must recognize that the shift there, but the most important thing is how we tend to transmit the values from one generation to the other.
Let's talk about the forms of marriage.
Okay, fine. We have in our current society where we're living today, it's a reality we must be faced with today. We have the traditional marriage. The traditional marriage where you have the father and the mother, the man and the woman living together with their children.
Okay.
It's a traditional marriage where we have all of that rolling presently. But we're moving gradually to our world. Our world is experiencing a new birth because of the continuous and increase in divorce. We're having young ladies and young guys divorcing with children, and they're still within the marriageable age. So we're having a girl, a lady with 2 children from an old dead marriage, a guy with 1 son, 1 daughter, 2 girls or 2 boys from another relationship. Go to court, they get custody of the children because of death also. And the young lady with children coming to marry a young guy who already have children. They're coming together in the marriage. That's a new form of marriage called mixed marriage. That has its own challenge. So we have another form of marriage now is mixed marriages. Mixed marriage, for instance, in Nigeria is becoming the order of the day. And our society is not been prepared for it yet. Another married woman who cannot run away from that is already in the world today. Even though we've not accepted it in Nigeria as it is, but it's the reality we're facing. It's gay marriages. And it's a sensitive matter.
Okay.
But that's truth. We have gay marriages. It's a reality we're living in our world today. You understand?
Sure.
That's another form.
I mean, in gender studies, we have the transgenders, we have the bisgenders and the cisgenders. If all of those have transmitted into the different forms of marriage, definitely it's a thing we have to. It's
a world we're living today.
Exactly.
So you ask me a question. Am I concerned about the future of my children? Yes, I'm concerned. I'm concerned because I was growing up, I was not exposed to those kind of models, and every day values are being redefined in our society.
All right, so when we come back from this break, we're about to be back. We get to tell you what exactly his confusion is and what his you said you're concerned, not confused. But of course, we'll know if it's positive concern or negative concern. It's still the Patriot, and we're discussing marriage and patriotism.